All right, and we are live. Welcome back, Button Club members, to another episode of the Safe Sets podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Shadow Fury. With me, as always, is
Ricky Icebeam.
And today we're going to be doing something that everyone loves to talk about. They've been talking about since the last time we did it. What is it?
We're making a Street Fighter 6 Season 2 tier list. It's finally that time of the year.
It's finally that time. So, if you haven't checked out some of our other Safe Sets podcast episodes, we do encourage you to do so. Check out maybe to see how some of these tiers have changed, and subscribe, like, and comment for all of the all the other YouTube and social media things. So,
Yeah, I've been itching to do this, and it's been tough because like Season 2 came out, it had quite a few changes. Akuma came out with the Season 2 patch, and then shortly after Bison came out, and so there was so much like new information all at once, and it really took us a couple of weeks, a couple of months to kind of understand where these characters land. And I feel like we're finally at a point. It's after Evo, it's after the Esports World Cup. I feel like we have enough data and enough experience to really give good opinions about this.
I agree. I agree. I'm glad it wasn't something that we just jumped right into. Especially as soon as these characters drop, the opinions are all over Twitter. So I think it was great that we got to let season two as a whole marinate and kind of see where we're going to be going from here. To everyone that's in the chat, what's going on? Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We got Wolverine and DiGiorno.
How's it going, guys?
Thanks for hanging out with us, and yeah, tell us what you think of some of this tier listness that's going to be happening, because I'm sure there could be some hot takes here.
Yeah, some disputes.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna fight after this too about who's top tier. All right, so like we've done in the past, we're gonna be using the tier maker here, and we also have our wheel picker. So we got all 23 characters loaded up on here. So we're spinning them at random, picking them this way. It's not working our way through the top tier down to the bottom tier and have you guys sleeping at home.
Right.
I'm building Legos and listening in. Let's go, boys.
Let's
All
go.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate you, Giorno. All right, my friend, you ready to get started?
Yeah. So we're gonna spin the wheel, talk about the character for a couple of minutes, and then slap them on the tier list.
Yeah. So
let's see if we get Luke first again.
That's what happened last time.
Yeah, last
Luke
time
first,
we got Luke, and it was so fun.
It was a hot take. I remember it being like, everyone wanted to talk about that character, and that was the first one that came up. All right, here we go.
JP. So now we hit hide choice to eliminate it.
Perfect.
From the wheel.
All right, so we got your boy JP, everyone's favorite Street Fighter 6 zoner.
So it's everyone's least favorite and arguably not a Street Fighter character, right?
That's true, right? That's true.
So Season 1 JP was extremely powerful, extremely annoying. The argument was that he's not even playing, like, you're not playing the game, he's playing the game for you. And I think that some of those arguments still hold true about him being annoying and being like a flowcharty character. But I think the changes, from Season 1 to Season 2 and to JP specifically have really brought him down a few pegs.
Yeah, I think he went from like nearly impossible to a very strong character, a little bit more manageable now, and kind of like some other characters that I'm sure we'll get to later on in the night. There's now this stigma attached to this character because of these nerfs. So people aren't saying that he's as strong, and we've seen his representation kind of dip too, which we've talked about in other episodes of the podcast. So what's your initial gut reaction? Where would you place him first off?
So when we place these characters, like as we place more and more, we might shift some around a little bit because they didn't, they don't match up where everybody else lined up. So I would say he's definitely not S tier anymore. I think he was S tier in Season 1. And so I'm kind of stuck between A and B. And it's hard because he's really not that bad, but a lot of players have dropped him. And so like my gut is saying A tier, but I feel like the majority of people watching would probably lean towards B tier. What are your thoughts on this character?
So I agree on A tier. I think B is a little too middle of the road, but that's also because we're just starting out and this is a complete blank tier list canvas. We might not even get to a D tier, and I think, like you said, since we can move everything around, my gut reaction is not mid. I think he's a tier character.
Yeah, and he might be bottom of A, and I agree with you. There's a good chance we won't place any characters in D, and so if you think of it that way, A is above average and B is below average, and I think this is an above average character.
I agree. I think above average. DiGiorno says B tier, in my opinion. I would like to know more before we move on to the next character, if you
Yeah,
want.
that's actually interesting because you had a tough time on Monday against a JP.
Yeah, yeah. Little salt sprinkle on that wound right there.
I was looking up frame day just in case.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Ed's no joke. Third Eye, he's definitely a formidable Ed player. I mean, JP player. But yeah, I don't really see B tier. Personally, I think a lot of good players dropped him.
Yeah, and it's tough to tell. It's like, did they drop him out of a knee jerk reaction because he was directly nerfed? Was it that there were other characters that got buffed that they feel like they can finally play?
Mm,
And then especially when like M Bison came out, I feel like a lot of JP players and a lot of Marisa players love M Bison. And it's like,
yeah,
why would I use these tryhard characters when I can use the easy mode character,
absolutely, absolutely.
the
Yeah,
Crayon Cruncher?
the crayon cruncher.
All right, let's spin that wheel.
All right, let's go one more time here, around and around.
Lily.
Lily. Okay, let's hit a different part of the spectrum here on this tier list here.
So this one's kind of tough to place, and it's similar to JP. There's not that much representation for this character, so I feel like I almost never see her.
Mhm.
But when I do see her, she does extremely well because it's like the loyalists that are really grinding, and it's like they're almost don't care about the rest of the characters in Street Fighter 6. They're just playing through the lens of, I'm a Lily main. I'm gonna learn all this tech, and I'm gonna show you guys that you're wrong.
And we were looking up tournament results before we started this podcast just so we could kind of use that information to influence where we would place these characters. And of course, when looking up character representation that had won tournaments, we had to go over the tournament that El Chicote won with Lily, which was what, the day or the weekend after some buffs went her way. So I think in the hands of strong players, of course she has the ability to do things, but the character is just not represented, especially not like the likes of some of these other characters. So I kind of want to say like C tier for now.
Really, I was gonna put solid B, and
Okay.
part of it is like I think she's hard to pilot, and so you don't see her used often. And when you have this character in the right person's hands, I don't think they're necessarily struggling. I think they're playing the game through Lily, like through the lens of Lily, like, the way they want to play it. But I don't think they're necessarily struggling to get wins.
Okay, so we'll go B then
For now, and we can always
yeah,
move it later if it doesn't line up with the other characters that end up in B tier.
100%, 100%. Wolverine says Crayon Cruncher is great. Actually, that could be a cereal. Get Jarrett to make a cereal for that. All right, let's go back to that wheel. Hide choice. We're done with her.
The other thing I just want to say about Lily really quickly is when they did the season 2 changes, um, one thing that buffed her significantly was the nerf to the parry recovery. So now that parry recovers so much longer, if you're fighting against her and you just tap parry, she can like walk all the way up and SPD you, and it's a punish counter SPD. And so I think that makes her stronger on offense because it makes you relatively weaker on defense. So I think that helps her quite a bit. And another reason why maybe she was C tier in season 1, but she's clearly better than she was in season 1. So
Okay.
I think that brings her up a notch.
Okay, and maybe with the way things have laid out, maybe B tier is as low as we end up getting, right? Because being at
Right.
the bottom of B tier or the top of C tier is basically
Right, yeah, like C is the new F, right? Like C
yeah.
is as low as we're probably going to end up placing anybody. So being anywhere in B tier means you're still in like the bottom half of the cast, but we'll see. So
We'll see.
Blanca, this
So
this
we-
character will be interesting to place because season 1, I feel like it took people a while to realize how powerful this character was. I feel like in season 1, people were saying he's like B tier, and it turned out he was actually S tier.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
people didn't realize it.
He was really, really strong for a bit.
And the thing that's interesting about Blanca as a character, like in the history of Street Fighter, is he's typically really strong but really gimmicky and
Yes.
inconsistent. And in Street Fighter 6, especially with season 1, I feel like they gave him all the powerful tools, all the gimmicks, all the stuff that, Blanca players dreamed of. And then they also made him a totally solid like character. Like
Yeah.
gave him all the tools, all the benefits. And so that really put him over the top, I think, because you didn't need to gimmick your wins. You could play Street Fighter 6 And if you're losing, then you can flip the switch and play
And
bananas.
yeah. I think that's like the most representation we've ever seen for a character for Blanca, basically, like in modern day fighting games, right? Not someone that we saw a lot towards the end of Street Fighter 4, really, or at all in 5 until the end, and even then, who was really playing that character that did like super well to make it well known.
Yeah, he was always niche and never mainstream as like a character that you'd put in S tier, not as a joke or as like a meme.
He was good in 5 too. That's well,
He was good in
and
5.
you were also great with that character in 5. Thanks for hanging out with us, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so he was good in 5, but again, I don't think he was so good that people were like dropping their mains to pick up Blanca. I think it was like players who used to play Blanca in 4, or the kind of players that play characters like that where they're like, "Oh, like I don't care if I win or lose. I'm just trying to do the funny thing on my opponent." But in Street Fighter 6, I feel like he has all the tools. And so even now in season 2, I feel like relative to season 1 he is nerfed, but he's still really powerful. I think now it's just, especially with the drive rush nerf, it nerfs his damage quite a bit. And so I feel like now you have to either outplay your opponent by a considerable amount or go for gimmicks or like a combination of the two. So you have to do everything with Blanca now, where before you could either play solid and just win, or you could just throw in like one little setup and win too.
One monkey maneuver there.
Yeah, one Blanca Chan and you're dead.
I also think too, Mena RD being our probably like the most famous player to pilot him, Coach Steve and things like that when the game first came out. I think this character really fit a lot of their play styles. But I think again, this is one of those characters, like Problem X. Let's say Problem X was playing a lot of Blanca, but and Bison comes out, and why wouldn't you do that instead, at least for now, right?
Yeah, so yeah, I think his representation is definitely down from season 1.
Break bread. Why do you gravitate towards the green man? Oh, this guy. They're having their beef in the chat there. So where would you put Blanca then? If he's still solid, and Mena was upset when he got hit with some nerfs. Probably still plays the character a little bit here and there, so it got to be viable, right? A tier.
Yeah, I would definitely put him A tier, and I don't think like the horizontal list on this is super critical, but I would put him
No.
above JP. I think he's stronger than JP.
Okay. There you go. Stronger than JP. You heard it here first, folks. No beef. I was genuinely curious. I hate mirror matches, so I play characters no one likes. Oh wow. Okay.
Interesting. You hate mirror matches, you say. Time to learn some new characters.
All right.
Akuma.
Right to it.
Yeah, so Akuma is, the second newest of the DLC characters. It was like Akuma dropped with season 2, and then shortly after we got M. Bison. So both Akuma and M. Bison are relatively new, and those two characters is part of the reason why we waited so long to do a season 2 tier list.
Yeah.
Because all the other characters, we had a pretty good understanding of, like, are they better or are they worse from season 1?
Mm-hmm.
How does the drive rush nerf affect them, and how does the parry nerf affect them? And we could probably put a pretty good list together early on. But with these two characters being so new, it took us a little while to really figure out like how good are they? Because I think when they came out, it was no like when Aki came out, people were like, what is this character? We don't think she's good. When both of these characters came out, there was no question that they were good. I think the question was, are they S tier or are they A tier?
Yeah, okay.
And we have our answer.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, I think we all can talk about the legacy that is Akuma being a glass cannon, 9,000 health in this game where everyone else has at least 10,000, right? But the damage that I've seen him do and receive, I think this dude hits really hard. Great fireball game. He's kind of doing things a little unconventional. He's like the perfect melding of the last 2 games that we've seen for this Akuma. So in my opinion, I think he's S tier right now for sure.
Yeah, so I agree he's S tier, but I was just thinking in my head like how wild it would have been to have Akuma in this game during season 1 when the damage was so much higher. Like one crouch medium kick from a Luke and that Akuma's dead.
Yeah.
Now it takes 2.
Now it takes 2. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I agree that Akuma's S tier. I think we should mention though that like a lot of times with a character's power, it's not like, well, how good are they in a first to 2 or a first to 3? It's how viable are they in a tournament setting? And I think that's where Akuma is the only reason he's not like number 1 top of S in my opinion is because it's hard to win consistently with him, because one mistake or one hard read from your opponent or one weird DI that you would have never seen coming and you could lose the whole game for it. So I feel like because of the consistency factor, while I agree Akuma is S tier, I would put him like probably towards the bottom of the S tiers.
Okay, yeah, because of that. Well, what I've been saying this whole time is that I feel that Akuma, the volatility of that character now matches the game.
Yeah.
So you have a wild, wild game with crazy mechanics, and you have this wild character with so many options, so many different things to do, and those mechanics plus the damage buff plus a health nerf. So it all is just it's wild. It's crazy soup, honestly.
No, yeah, but I think Akuma is exactly where he should be.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. S tier for sure.
S tier, extremely powerful, relatively inconsistent by design.
Falls like on the if the knife is the line of S and A, right? Like
Yeah.
he could fall either way depending on whose hands he's in, I suppose. Akira, make sure to order the tier lists after you're done. It's very important to me. Okay, you got it, buddy.
The other thing I was going to say about a character like Akuma is I feel like some characters, and I'll use JP as an example. If you're new to Street Fighter and you're playing JP, the character is going to help you win more than you probably deserve. And then same thing, if you're at a really high level, then using a character like JP, you might realize like, oh, like it would be really valuable to have a DP and like all these other tools. I feel like Akuma is the exact opposite. Where if you're new to Street Fighter, you're gonna lose more than you deserve with Akuma. And then when you're at the highest level and you can react to DI and you can anti-air DP and you're perfect parrying fireballs and neutral, now that's where Akuma is much more valuable.
Yeah, that was a big mistake that I made when learning Street Fighter Five. Was kind of waiting till season two and being like Akuma, that's the one, the most badass Shoto. That's what I want to do. And yeah, it was really really terrible because you make a lot of mistakes when you're learning and you're very new to it, and getting punished for those mistakes hurts even more at that level because you don't understand, let alone the damage buff on Akuma. So there's probably a lot more saltier times in my past just because of that character choice.
Yeah, and I was going to mention like when you're learning and getting into fighting games, the most valuable thing is to fight somebody on your level or slightly stronger. If you fight someone that's way weaker than you, then you're gonna win even if you make mistakes. If you fight someone who's way stronger than you, you're gonna lose even if you do the right thing. And so it's hard to get that feedback loop of like when I play good I win and when I play bad I lose. And Akuma also kind of skews that because you could play fine and make one mistake and lose, and you didn't really necessarily do anything wrong.
That's facts right there. That's facts. Write that down, everybody.
Another Rickyism.
Yeah, seriously, seriously. Maybe after like our 1 year anniversary of doing this, I'll have an entire edit put together of all these wise words of the ice beam. All right,
they come from salt.
Yeah, exactly. All right,
E Honda. So this character is interesting because I feel like when Street Fighter 6 first came out, like day one, people were like, this character's so stupid, he's so busted, he's such a crayon eating character, like he wins for free. And then people started realizing, well, what if you could perfect parry his headbutt and his butt slam consistently? And then people started labbing and started figuring out like, oh, like if I run into even a master rank E Honda in ranked, they're gonna headbutt or butt slam at 99 seconds. I'm gonna perfect parry him, bring him to the corner, and now they don't have a good reversal. And so like day one of Street Fighter 6, he was S tier. And then, like a month into Street Fighter 6, he was bottom tier.
Just kept falling, right?
Yeah, and I feel like even though they gave this character some good buffs, I feel like because those tools are so blatant that, like at a low level, he's extremely powerful, and at a higher level, he's just relatively weak. And I think a character like Alex in Street Fighter 5 had the same issue, where at a low level, it doesn't matter that he's slow or that his Oki isn't real because people aren't reacting stuff and nobody knows what Oki is.
Yeah. I think for me too, shortly after the game came out, if you had on your plate characters that you were interested in, maybe it would be E Honda and you'd have, Blanca on there also. I think as time goes on, Blanca just makes E Honda seem completely irrelevant because anything he's trying to do, I feel like Blanca's doing better and has the setups. I would just go that way. So, and I think if I had the choice between E Honda or Lily, I don't know, maybe slightly 60-40 towards Lily. So I don't know, like I would put him like behind her, underneath her somewhere.
Yeah, and again, we can move these characters around as we place more characters and kind of realize if they're in line with other characters of their strength.
Yeah.
But I was gonna put E Honda in C tier.
In C tier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just because I think at a low level he's extra powerful and helps beginner players win when they don't deserve it. But at a higher level, if your opponent knows how to perfect parry your stuff, it's really hard to win with him. Like you can work twice as hard as your opponent and get the win. But if you're working twice as hard, that's C tier.
Exactly. Yeah. In the chat there, I was gonna say name a high level E Honda main, and I will give you a Button Club surprise when I see you in person next time. Okay, I want to know. All right, let's go back to the list.
It would be wild if a player like Meta RD picked up
It was like-
Honda and he showed everybody.
Okay, all right,
Dalsim.
Again, this character's like been in a weird spot throughout the game, right? Like, you know, he was just kind of Dalsim in the beginning. Then I felt like we were seeing a little bit more Dalsim here and there, and like Zaffarino and that French player there, Mr. Crimson.
Yep.
But I feel like I don't see those characters. I don't see this character anymore.
No, you don't. And one thing I always try to remind myself, or like kind of ask myself when I'm playing this game, or even when Street Fighter V, it's like if I lose to something or if I'm struggling against something, I have to ask myself, is it good or is it annoying? And I feel like Dalsim is more in the annoying zone where it's like it's annoying that he's poking me from half screen. It's annoying that he's teleporting and all this stuff. But is it good? And I don't think it's necessarily good. I think again, kind of like Honda, it's like if you can get wins with this character, you can beat Akuma players. I'm sure you can, but you're working twice as hard. You're making hard reads. You're making the rounds last as long as possible to give you as many chances to get a stray stand medium kick in neutral. Like I just feel like you're working super hard for those wins. And there's things about this character that are just like blatantly worse than what most of the cast has. Like his level 2 doesn't hit crouchers. There's times I bait that by accident because I'm just rushing him down in the corner. He's panicking. I go for a meaty crouch medium punch. He wakes up level 2, and now I get a free punish. Yeah, and then I'm trying to remember. So like in season, I think it was in the middle of season 1 where they changed level 1 supers to not to be like they lose to fireballs on wake up, and so I feel like if you're fighting Dalsim, it's so easy to shut down his level 1 and level 2 on wake up between just hit a crouching button or just meaty fireball, and now he can't level 1. And so yeah, defensively I think he's awful, and offensively I think he's more annoying than good. And so what do you think?
I think that when it comes to let's say we have the dedicated and I'm only using these other characters because that's where we're at the tier list. I feel that I'm not gonna really find a E Honda player that's going to have all this like tech and sauce and things, right? But I feel like the Dalsim tech and the little weird, subtle, nuanced things that he can do that would just knowledge check you, that you'd be like, what the hell? And then you get steamrolled by this character. I feel like the information's more with this character, so I would place him higher than E Honda, kind of right in the middle between these two characters personally. But again, like it takes a specialist, like for instance, I had games with Dan recently, Lucky D from the Traveling Controller, and what he was able to do against my Ken in this game felt legacy knowledge and not so much I'm beating you at my Street Fighter 6 Dalsim. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's using years and years of experience in neutral and trying to get you uncomfortable and then punishing you for acting out because you're uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Things like that.
Yeah, things like that. So at that level, I still get beaten up by a Dalsim main, but I'm gonna say like the end of B.
Yeah, I feel like
C.
I feel like top of C, just because I feel, and I agree with you that like a legacy Dalsim player, or if you've been maining Dalsim since day 1 of Street Fighter 6, like you can get wins out here, but make no mistake, you're working harder than most of the cast.
All right, so we'll do that right there. That's for you, Milk. I put him in front of E Honda to show that he's stronger. You following along here? All right, back to the picker wheel. Punk mained E Honda 2 days. Yeah. Well,
yeah, I think that's for content.
yeah. All right, jury. This is interesting because, as we all know, this is $1 million character
in season one.
in season. That's true. That's true. Yes, pre-season 2. I think this character is definitely still strong, still doing their thing. I don't feel like much of her game plan has changed at all, or anything else really.
Right. And like when we talk about season two having a nerf to drive rush, we're specifically talking about when you cancel a normal on hit into drive rush to extend your combo.
Hmm.
And while pretty much every character in this game does that, Jury, I would say she uses it like a medium amount. Like any character with a crouch meme kick into drive rush is going to do that. But she doesn't necessarily like need it for big damage. She's mostly doing it for like corner carry and the Oki and things like that. And so I feel like compared to some other characters, like if you compare it to like Ken and Luke, I think her damage output is lower, but her situations are fantastic. So I feel like the damage nerf to the drive rush is less of an impact to her than it was for some of these other characters. Um, and then the nerf to parry on defense, I feel like helps her because her offense is so fast and so aggressive that you want to like DP to get her off of you, or you want
Hmm.
to try to perfect parry her so you can work your way out of the corner. And I feel like that works to her advantage. So the fact that she won the $1 million tournament in season one, and in season two, I would argue she's about same strength. Like the pros and cons kind of balance
Yeah,
themselves
yeah,
out.
yeah.
What do you think about this character?
I think she's doing well. I think she has. I think even though she's won the Capcom Pro Tour $1 million, she's a strong character, and not enough people are talking about how strong she is. She's an absolute A for me.
Yeah, I would say like top of A,
Yeah.
like above Blanca right
Oh
now.
yeah, 100%, 100%. If you don't know who to play in this game and you like this character, go for it. You don't even have to like feet. It's not a prerequisite
I,
for
was,
the character. I promise you.
I was waiting to see if you brought that up.
Alright, here we go. Okay.
Jamie,
Jamie.
my favorite.
Yes, yes. Tomato, perk up your ears. So, where is this character now? You placed this character. The last time we did this, where did you put this character?
The bottom of the bottom. I said, how many characters in this game? That's what place this character's in.
And after all of these, the throw buff there that gives him a drink, and everything else, the drive rush changes. Where do you see this character now? How much has he climbed up the ranks?
So I think it's kind of obvious to say this character is so much better than he was in season one. However, I think that where he's at with zero drinks is so much like so far below like the average power level in this game that he essentially needs 2 to 3 drinks to be on par, and then the fourth drink brings him above, which
Yeah.
is not consistent. It's hard to get. It's kind of like Manon with 5 medals. It's like, yeah, she's great with 5 medals, but you don't get that every round.
Yeah, yeah, no.
So that's how I kind of feel about Jamie, where 2 or 3 drinks, depending on the matchup, that's where he's supposed to be. And so I feel like from the round start until you have 2 drinks, you're weaker than average. 2 drinks, 3 drinks, you're on par, and then 4 drinks, you're just a hair above.
Hmm.
And so that being said, the fact that you have to uh, do these drinks to get the power ups to be as strong as the rest of the cast, especially if you're talking about like S tier and A tier characters, like you need 2 or 3 drinks to be on their level. So I feel like by design, he can't land an S tier or A tier. And so I'm kind of torn between B tier and C tier. Um, and I'm leaning closer to B tier because he's functional. He has the tools to win.
And if I had my choice between Jamie and the other three that are sitting at the bottom right now, it would be Jamie. I would probably rather go Jamie than any of those other characters, in my opinion.
And you're saying if you're comparing Jamie to Dawson and Honda?
Dawson, Honda, and even our girl Lily over
Oh,
here.
Lily,
Like
yeah.
I would go Jamie all the way. I think in that race. Would you put him? Obviously, we can change this. We've said that, but would you put him above her slightly, or
I would equal. I
equal?
really I don't know enough honestly about either of these characters to say, well, this character belongs in head, and because here's why. It's like neither of these characters are highly represented at the top level. They're both, niche. They're both, if you love this character and you're putting all your energy into these characters, you can win. You're working a bit harder than everybody else though.
Yeah, and I think so. Maybe for me, not playing older Street Fighters so much. So his character archetype is is so strange to me. So I feel like I struggle a little bit with this character and some of these newer characters in Street Fighter 6 because they are so odd. But I feel like these two both require resources to get their game going.
Yeah.
Right? She needs to win stock up in order to get in, bypass those fireballs, and start playing her game plan. And he needs a little bit of space and some drinks to kind of get his stuff going. So
Yeah.
I could see that being in the same spot.
And also, I feel like with both these characters, in order to get all the juice out of them, you have to main them. You can't just play them on the side for a bad matchup.
I agree. And like I think that, let's say I'd spent the entire year between these two characters, I think I would get a lot more juice out of that squeeze in a year with Jamie than I think I would Lily personally.
That's fair.
So Akuma, best character on paper, top of A.
In first to two.
In first to two.
First to two, I agree. He's no top one in first to two.
All right, Kimberly, another newbie to the Street Fighter scene, but based on an older archetype.
The ninja archetype.
The ninja, yeah, Bushin Ryu archetype.
Yeah, which now that I think about it, she does remind me a lot of like Zeku.
Yeah, there. And was it Guy and what's the other one? There's one more there, right?
Well, there's old Zeku, young Zeku, and Guy. Those are the three that come to my mind.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's another one.
I like her take on it. I find her walk speed and walk attitude the most annoying.
Before or after level 3?
Oh, all of it. All of it. I hate all of it. I hate the way she just shimmies and walks, her back turned to you, but she's still looking at you. I
remember when this game first came out, I was so frustrated running into Kimberly's online because I felt like they were beating me, but they weren't outplaying me. I just like didn't understand her routes and like her options. And I also found it really annoying that they would just kind of like walk forward and back in neutral and then press stand BD and pick. And I'm like, just play the game.
Yes. I find it so annoying. She's adorable, but her attitude stinks. As far as where she's at in the game right now, I think that she's in a really healthy spot in the game personally. She has a like certain other characters in the game, it's all about momentum.
Yep.
I feel like once she gets momentum, she's riding you all the way down the hill. But get her on the back foot and she struggles because she doesn't have the an OD wake up move outside of using super meter and things like that. But I mean she's just putting you in the blender, mixing you up. Her grab range I find so deceiving. I think she's a really, really solid character. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I also think that the nerf to parry on defense helps her because, again, kind of like what I was saying with Juri, her offense is so aggressive and so scary, and you want to get her off of you. It's like, well, if they block an ODDP, you're 100% dead. And if you guess with parry and you guess wrong, you're not dead, but you're hurting much more than you were. And in season 1, it was almost like a hard read from the player on offense to like throw you when you parried. And now it's like they can take a step back, see you parried, walk all the way up, and still get the punish counter throw.
Her shimmy game, her strike throw shimmy game is out of this world because you'll think she's walked past. Oh my gosh, she's way too far for that grab to have connected now, and then she's in your face throwing you again. So I think she's really, really strong in that in the corner game also. Where would you place this character?
I think it's an easy A, and the only reason I don't put her in S is because she has relatively low damage output per combo, but after each combo, she gets great setups and she has to basically rock, paper, scissors you to death.
Yeah.
However, she has to win like 5 games of rock, paper, scissors every round to win. And so that's the only reason I don't put her in S. I think she's a really strong, relatively high A character, and I would probably put her just below Juri.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think she's necessarily weaker than Juri. I just think Juri has to take less gambles. She's more solid than a character like Kimberly.
I think Kimberly also kind of breaks a level 3 rule that we apply while we're fighting to other characters. Because you are getting that buff for the rest of the game, it's never really a waste, mind you, to end that round with level 3, because now you've got that speed and damage buff for the rest of the game.
And in a way, it's actually smart to spend it early, even if you don't necessarily need to, because then you can start gaining more meter.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm agree with you there. I wasn't sure if you would think like high B but I think this, after talking about it, I think that does make sense.
Yeah, and then also like the nerf to the drive rush damage output actually helps her because people were hitting her with such big combos off drive rush extensions. Now you can't hit her as hard as you'd like to.
Okay, yeah.
Because I like to hit her.
Yeah.
I want to kill her in one combo if I can.
Squash that bug.
Take her to Memphis.
Akira, Kim's standing medium kick is a crayon muncher button. There you go.
What bothers me more than the stand medium kick is the crouch medium kick. It's
Yeah.
+1 on block. So when she drive rushes into it, it's +5.
Get out of here with that. All right, moving along. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. I appreciate it.
Guile.
Guile.
Your main.
You know?
Not my man.
No. That ain't your man no more.
No. We broke up.
Yeah. I haven't won with him in a while, so this character's trash. D tier. That's it.
Next.
Yeah.
No, let's talk about this character. So I feel like this character is really interesting because I think at a low level, when you're like learning how to play the game, a lot of times people are not interested in charge characters whatsoever. They want a DP, they want a fireball, motion fireball. They're not interested. But a lot of players will go to charge characters. I feel like if you're relatively new to Street Fighter and you're using Guile, it is buffing your skill level considerably because fireball, Sonic Boom, and Flash Kick is such a simple and strong combination. And then I feel like in the middle, when you're like, gold, platinum, diamond, it's harder to win with Guile because you're not just throwing everything at your opponent and hoping they don't know how to deal with it like some of these other characters are able to do. So I feel like that's where he kind of struggles, and that's where a lot of players get stuck. And then when you break it, when your skill level rises to the point where you're able to get into the master ranks, then he's extra powerful again because you're not taking risks. You're just playing solid, and you're basically putting on your opponent to be like, you have to take a risk to take me out, but I'm not taking risks, and I'm ready for everything you're going to do.
I think that, I agree with a lot of what you said. I think that there's a point in your skill level where this character can take you to great heights because of the simplicity of their gameplay and how solid that really, really is. And then I think after a while, you really get to realize how strong of a player you really need to be to pilot this character because so many things are just so subtle and like you said about charge timings. A lot of people don't want to get into charge timings at all.
Right, or just the feeling of like, if I want to flash kick you when you jump at me, I have to choose to not play neutral for like 2 whole seconds just in case you jump. And if you don't jump 4 times when I thought you might, I just wasted 8 seconds doing nothing.
Yeah. So we don't see him represented a whole lot as much as some of these other characters. We have Knuckle Do.
Yep.
We have
Kaba. We got Shadow Fury.
Lex,
Higuchi.
And there's one other player, I think he's from Europe too. He was in the Street Fighter League. Akainu,
yep.
Yeah. So, you have a lot of all those players are great Guile mains. We just don't get to see them do all the amazing things we'd like to see them with Guile, like win all these big tournaments. Knuckle Do probably being the strongest Guile main, at least in America. But the character is strong. I don't think he's S tier. I think he's solid as hell. And if you can put up with dealing with a character archetype like that, you can really, really shine. I think he's A tier.
I'm having a tough time because I agree with everything you're saying, and I think he's right on the line between top of A and bottom of S.
But I think like there's other things that S is doing that he's not doing. Crouching medium kick, drive rush. A lot of his best pokes are not cancelable buttons, so he's going to be eating that drive impact. Just to even try and poke you out.
And then also the skill it takes to always do the perfect Sonic Booms and the perfect Flash Kicks. Like the perfect Sonic Booms are for longer combo extensions. They also do a little bit more damage, but the perfect Flash Kicks are significantly more damage. And so like if you go to combo into Flash Kick into level 3 and you get the somersault instead of the Flash Kick, that could be the difference between killing and not killing.
100%.
And with Guile, I feel like oftentimes I find myself drive rush into Flash Kick level 3. So I've burnt myself out and I need it to kill. So if I mess up that timing and I get the somersault and they live, even with a sliver, Guile's screwed.
Guile's hurting, and now he's exhausted all of his resources. And I will say that was something that they they made it the big season 2 change was not rewarding so much button to drive rush cancel button and this and that. It was, we really want you to be spending the OD meter to get the 2 bars instead of the 3. It'll regenerate faster. Now these combos look crazier. I have seen his season 2 combos, and nothing about those combos make me go, oh wow, he's a real beast in this game for season 2. Oh wow, he's playing a very different game. He still feels like which I mean, he's strong. It's why those are the things that are keeping him out of S tier for me.
Yeah. So for now, I'm fine with putting him at the very top of A.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't think there's going to be another character that is stronger than him that's not S tier.
Okay, wow.
I think he's the gatekeeper.
He's the dividing line.
I think so.
On that Sonic Blade.
Yeah. He's gonna do it, and he's gonna wait.
All right, that was good. I like that. Okay,
Luke.
Bang. Right back to you now.
I might have to take back what I just said.
Ooh.
So Luke in season 1 was undoubtedly S tier. He was undoubtedly top 3. In my opinion, he was number 1. Season 2, he's normalized. He's nerfed. I wouldn't say significantly nerfed, but he is nerfed. His crouch medium punch has less range. He is a drive meter demon. He needs to spend those 3 bars to get anything going. And so those all got nerfed.
And he's locked a little bit behind like the execution berry with the perfect knuckle. So like if that's not something that you're interested in doing or can do well, and I don't think that character is really for you in that aspect.
Yeah, and I definitely think that's something to consider when talking about a character's strength, is because if there's a character that does everything that Luke can do and doesn't need the perfect knuckles, that character is by default now better than this character.
Yeah, 100%.
And so it does take him down a little bit. And so I was just saying that Guile's kind of the divine line between S and A, and now I'm torn with Luke. Because similar to Guile, he's super good. I think he's also kind of straddling line between S and A, and I'm not really sure where he lands.
I think so. Like, all right, so he's got really great damage.
Amazing.
Like
damage.
like compare his damage to Akuma, let's say.
It's about the same.
It's close too, right? Like he's only, he's maybe slightly jealous, Luke. He's a little bit like, that looks pretty cool. But I think it's really, really close.
Well, I would say if we were comparing Luke and Akuma, I think the damage output is practically identical. I think the big difference, at least with these 2 characters, is that Akuma has better neutral.
Okay.
And so,
by how much would you say? Like, how is he inching it out in the neutral, or is he like really, really winning it?
I think in that matchup specifically, Akuma wins it. Like, he wins neutral convincingly.
Okay, yeah.
But in general, as far as like all the matchups these characters are going to fight, it's like Luke is decent in neutral, Akuma is great in neutral. And there's matchups where, because like the way I see Luke is he has 2 modes. He has zoning mode and brawling mode, and he's good at both. He's a much better brawler than he is a zoner. And so if there's a matchup where his brawling isn't working, he has to zone.
If I could say one other thing. So this is the second Shoto we've talked about so far for this tier list.
Yes, if we consider Luca Shoto, which I do.
Yes. So in my opinion, right, as it stands right now, I think, but I think this goes like this.
For now, yeah.
For now, I think this goes like this because these guys are clear above, I think, what we've seen here, right?
Yeah, and I think what we'll end up seeing is that Guile is the top of A and Luke is the bottom of S.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think that's pretty fair. All right, let's keep.
And it's also hard to give a unbiased opinion because this is my main. I'm like, I love this character, and I think he's very viable.
Of course.
So it's tough to kind of, like I said, decide is it S tier or is it A tier?
You really, it's like one of those things where like you can't downplay, you can't over embellish how good the character is. Obviously, the character is great and is doing.
He has the tools, right? He has the DP. He got crouch medium kick, drive rush, 4-frame jab. Like,
Yep.
What else could you want?
Exactly. So we have our girl Marisa next, a character that has fallen like the Empire has, right?
Which is really interesting because I feel like relatively she hasn't gotten weaker. I think it's just all the other characters around her have gotten stronger, and new characters like M. Bison have kind of taken her, did what she's been doing better.
Yeah. She's no longer like if you want to play like a big monster, you're probably playing M. Bison right now, and you've left some of her better matchups like kind of in the past. I think she's I mean, when she gets the hit, she's gonna put a hurting on you. She also is kind of like Kimberly in a way with that momentum. If she's
Yeah.
doing her thing, she's on top of you. Otherwise, she has a really hard time getting it going.
Yeah, I think another way to think about this character is she's a very good version of E Honda.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
But like there's still things that she can do in neutral where it's like, well, if I'm ready for it, I'm just gonna perfect parry and punish you.
Hmm.
You know, if you go for a big swing or if you're Gladysing too much, I'm just gonna start pressing
Of
crouch medium
course.
kick.
Which is like what gets me so far against this matchup is how big her buttons are that people love to just throw it in neutral
And whiff.
aimlessly
Yep.
and whiff it, and then before you know it, they're in the corner. Real quick, Luke got normalized and is still top two. So hear us out. Where we have everything placed is also pretty temporary, and normalized was a probably the best word you could have used for.
Right, because he was nerfed, but he wasn't nerfed to being even mid tier. He was
Yeah.
nerfed from being top, probably top one, top three in season
Broken
one
to being a
to
normally
strong
strong
character.
character.
Right, right,
Yeah,
like we haven't
I think it
placed all
still
these
stands.
characters. I think he's gonna land somewhere in the top 10 for sure.
Hmm.
The question is he still top five or is he between 6 and 10?
Exactly. Yeah, we're not done yet, so stick around, and this might change a little bit. Akira, I wouldn't put Luke in S tier to be honest with you. So before we go any further, why wouldn't you do that? I want to know.
It's tough because I feel like both Luke and Guile are right on that line. Like they're really good characters, but they're not as good as some of these others.
Yeah, and then if S fills out, we might say, you know what? I think he actually belongs down here, and all that.
We might even bump everything down a tier and put like Dawson Honda down to D so
It's
that there's
true.
more a difference between what we consider S, A, and B.
We're all working it out together, and you guys are here for the rides, and we appreciate you sticking around. So where would we? You said Marissa is a better E Honda.
Yes.
So is she at the top of C for now, or is she at the bottom of B?
I don't think I can, in good conscience, put her in the same tier as Dawson. I think she's stronger than that.
Okay.
I think she's bottom of B.
Okay, there you go.
And part of what hurts her is that the other characters in this game that are doing her job, like Bison, for example.
Akira, when let me know why Luke doesn't belong in S tier. I want to hear about it. All right, let's move on. Okay, I like this. Aki. This character. It's not so decisive, right? Where she belongs in the tier list. I think there's a big gray area where she kind of fits in because she has the potential to be really strong. I know Foolery in the chat is going to scream that she's really, really high. Her damage is kind of crazy. Her mix, her mobility is really, really crazy. The damage over time.
And more importantly, I lost to an Aki at Defend the North, and I'm salty as hell.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that Aki was insane to watch at times
yeah.
too. You know.
It was funny because like after I can't remember if it was just the end of that day or after the whole tournament was over, like after I got eliminated in top 16. But I played against him in casuals, and we must have played like 20 or 30 games. No, we did a first to 10, and he ended up beating me 10-9 last round. Like it was just neck and neck the whole time, and that's how it felt when I played him on stream too. It was just like whoever gets this next hit wins. It was just so close. It was close in skill level, close in character strengths,
and a pretty volatile character too, right? Like, would she be? How is her momentum swing change like we talked about with Kimberly and Marissa?
So I think the difference with Aki is that Aki is great in neutral, where Kimberly and Marisa are like pretending to play neutral until they get the hit, and then they're playing the game.
Yeah.
But Aki can actually beat you in neutral. I think she's 50-50, like half zoning, half rushdown.
That chain has such great range and is so quick. There's times where I'm like kind of forgetting about it because I'm realizing I'm outside of her buttons, but I'm not outside that whip, you know?
Right.
I think she's incredibly solid, and I think middle of the road is like downplaying it.
Yeah. I'm looking at some of the other characters on this list, and I think that she is stronger than characters like Marisa, Jamie, and Lily. And so I think and I also don't think she's so incredibly strong that she belongs in S tier. So I think it's pretty obvious to say she's an A, and then where along the horizontal line in A is kind of anyone's guess. My guess right now would be somewhere next to like Blanca and Kimberly, like maybe right between.
Right in between.
So, and I could be wrong, but I think I'm close.
Yeah, and then sometimes like those three are just so close. It's pick an order. Flip a coin, and everyone's technically right when it comes to that. Okay.
I thought it was Manon. I was like, wait,
Yeah, I was
what?
like, I don't know where this is going, so hopefully the computer tells us. All right, Ed, this is a great, great topic because we have most recently seen a lot of Ed. Japan is jumping on the back of this character so much. We've even seen a modern Ed player
Yep.
in the Esports World Cup, and I'm pretty sure they took out it was either Punk or Mena.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I was listening to a podcast today and they were talking about it and saying how modern Ed was taking out, players left and right at the
Yeah.
at
And
that
that
tournament.
character, so Street Fighter V Ed was the crayon eating character with the simple inputs that no one really took too seriously, and the character didn't ask for that respect because it never really got it. In Street Fighter 6 now they have completely redone and overhauled this character to the point where I think high level players are like, wait a second, this looks like a full kit and then some, which is kind of what intimidated me with the character. But this is going to be a character I wasn't sure in the beginning, but after seeing what I'm seeing now, this is going to be, I think, like Street Fighter V's Dalsum. Who is this character? Who's playing Ed? I'm not really sure. And then out of nowhere, you're gonna have like half a dozen Ed players that are all really nasty and doing things that we've never ever seen before. Akira says Ed easy top five. What do you think of the character?
The way I think about Ed in Street Fighter 6 is like if Luke and Dawson had a baby.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like, yeah, he has Shoto normals and Shoto damage output and pretty normal like physics, where Dawson has weird physics and
Yeah.
like pretty simple or pretty straightforward combo routes like the other Shotos have. But he can zone like Dawson and be annoying like Dawson, and he can throw fireballs from really far away.
Hmm.
You can do him slow, he can do him fast. He can throw his level 2 on the screen, and now you have to guess which. He's like
Yes.
the only Shoto that has that, right? Like every other Shoto. I mean, I don't really consider Rashid a Shoto,
Yeah.
but he plays similarly, right? I feel like Ed and Rashid have those level 2s that really put the opponent in a bad spot no matter what's going on the screen.
You have impending doom, either flying at you or traveling really, really slowly, intimidating. Can't jump. They're expecting that. Do you hold parry? No, you get thrown for that. So the pressure and intensity that they're putting on you when they activate level 2, and because it's level 2 and not level 3, they're guaranteed to get it. Sometimes what twice in
Twice a game, yeah.
in a game. So I think that's really, really important. His range is really, really good. He has the slowest and an awkward OD reversal move compared to the rest of the cast, right?
Yep, but in a way that could be good. When I was listening to the podcast today, they were saying that on the opponent's wake up, I think it was Angry Bird, he dashed up and then did ODDP on the opponent's wake up, and because they did a delayed option, they ate it.
Yeah, yeah,
Similar to what
yeah.
Ed did in Street Fighter
Hmm.
5.
So it's really just how smart you have to use it. He's playing the range game. He has a pretty terrible jab. That was, I think, like people's biggest complaint was that his jab and crouch jab were like really kind of weak. Um, I don't know. I think he's solid. I think we're gonna see more of this character. I don't think he's B. I don't really think he's S either yet.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with you and say he's definitely
You
S.
think he's definitely
I
S?
think he's 100% S tier, and
Where
because
he stands right now, or like we baking for the future?
right now
Right
he's S
now,
tier,
okay.
and I feel so strongly about this that I would put him above Akuma on this tier list.
Oh wow. So he's the new number one of S right now.
For what
For
we've
right
placed so
now,
far,
yeah.
I feel strongly about it. I mean, he has everything.
Damn. And put him in the hands of a modern player. I think.
Right, either a modern player or just a very high level player like Ending Walker,
Yeah.
and I mean top 3 Evo.
So, and I think that'll be something we'll see in the future. I think we'll see Ending Walker win something absolutely huge with this character. He'll put everyone onto it even more so, and that'll be like a new favorite.
And then the other thing about this character is he has the desync combo with the level 2. I'm not sure if you know about that. So it's essentially a combo route off his level 2 that I don't think the programmers intended.
Okay.
So it's like he combos into level 2 and then does a delayed flicker, and it like puts the opponent into the level 2 in a position that is different. And so he can do much longer combos and get way extra hits.
Huh.
And because I don't know if it's because it's the desync combo or if it's always like this, but he's gaining meter while he's doing it, to the point where
Oh.
I saw a clip where an Ed had level 3. He comboed into level 2, did the desync, and gained so much meter that on the next hit, he did hit drive rush level 2. So he built like a whole
Oh
bar
my god.
off the combo.
Wow. Okay. Well, also have you seen the combos with level twos out, but the opponent's hitting him,
Oh yeah, yep.
and like they're taking a little bit of damage too. And I saw one against the Ken where like he kept comboing Ed and then ended in level one. I think he may have even done level one twice or something, but it's still it was either a double KO or the Ken player lost. Like he did all that work and still couldn't get the win. So yeah, Akira says Ed is too solid. So there you go. I will put him there for now. Then see if he stays.
DJ.
Okay, this is good. This is good. Foolery. I hope you're listening still. So DJ got hit with a little bit of nerfs. I think the character's still in a absolutely great spot. I just don't think we're seeing a lot of representation right now because there's either other characters or there's that stigma that he's been kind of nerfed. Why are you still playing this character? What do you think?
I agree. I think he's still extremely strong. I think the position that he is in is similar to Blanca, where it's like, yes, you got nerfed, but you're still playing the same game plan. You're still viable. You're still scary. The thing about DJ that wasn't nerfed that I was kind of expecting to get nerfed was how many combo routes he has where he can pop the opponent up and then spend one drive rush bar to extend the combo. And he can do it like multiple times in the same combo. I thought that was where they're gonna hit him, but they didn't. They left all that in. So he still has a lot. So even though drive rush scaling hurts, he can still pop up the opponent, spend one bar of drive meter, and put him all the way in the corner. Where a lot of the cast have to spend 3 drive bars to do a corner carry combo.
He's got better drive gauge economy with
Yes.
his combos for sure. And if you don't know this matchup, it's so easy to get steamrolled with by DJ, a high level DJ. And I think since this is the best iteration we've seen of DJ, if you've been around before and you're kind of only coming around to Street Fighter 6 now, you're kind of like, whoa, what is this character doing? I still think this character is great. I don't think he's S. I don't think he's like in that, oh my god, this character is so close to broken. But I kind of think he's very strong. And like, how close is he doing with what Guile's doing? Guile with more pressure, better rush down, probably playing Street Fighter 6 slightly better than Guile is.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, and it's tough too because like I think for sure DJ is better than Kimberly. But between like DJ, Guile, and Jury, they're kind of all the same skill level in my opinion. So wherever you decide to place them horizontally within those 3, it's really all the
It's
same.
like, how bad do you want to rush down, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want really bad rush down. I want a little mix. I don't want to do anything.
Yeah. He's in a dry rush jab sandwich.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Guile is, yeah.
Akira says top of A, maybe S tier, but not top 5. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, moving on. This is looking good and very saturated in the A right now.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying is like I don't know if we can say that characters like Guile and DJ are on the same tier as JP. We might have to
start moving some down.
Bump stuff down so we can kind of break the A tier in half and make like the bottom of A the new B.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see what the picker wheel gives us next, and we can start making some moves.
Yeah.
All right. I've been waiting for this.
M. Bison, the newest character.
Probably the most talked about character currently. Didn't it just technically win the Esports World Cup?
Yep, so $1 million.
Yeah, 300.
300,000.
Yeah, it was $1 million total
prize pool.
Yeah. And so Shanghai won 300, but
that's still life-changing money, especially when you consider Punk just won Evo, and how much did he win? Like 20K or something?
Yeah, less than 30K for sure.
Yeah, so 10% of that.
yeah. So, and that's not all he's playing with. He's playing with all of the great characters. He does have a Jury, and he also does have another character that we haven't put in there yet. I think this character is strong. Great damage, equivalent to your boy Akuma.
Yeah, like Akuma, Luke, and Bison are, once they get a clean hit, they're all doing a buttload of damage. I think the big difference with M. Bison is his combo routes. I think were designed knowing that Drive Rush was going to be nerfed.
Yes.
And so he doesn't have a lot of the shortcomings that other characters have. And some of his combos, like if he combos into bomb and then the bomb hits you and he combos into level 3, it's like 6,000 damage. It's insane. It's one guess and you're dead.
And he kind of like DJ, I think, has really good drive rush economy because he's not spending the 3 bars he needs to drive rush cancel a normal. He is going to go from OD to maybe another OD, spend the 4, get it back even quicker. You got the bomb on you, you're panicking, you're in the corner, and everything that he gets off of that, this character is just a human steamroller in Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, I think the only tool he doesn't have is a OD invincible reversal,
Yeah.
and thank God for that.
And yeah, because even having crouching medium kick to drive rush and such a fast, big range with his drive rush, people thought that was a joke when they saw the character trailer at first. Like, how is this slow, imposing character now psycho skedaddling across the screen, basically?
Yeah, his drive rush reminds me of like Captain Falcon in Smash.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Like he just runs right at you.
I've heard like the Flintstone feet noises with it in certain video edits and stuff like that. Akira says, broken piece of shit character, top 3 easy, Street Fighter 5 ass character, crayon eating, Play-Doh spaghetti character. Good lord.
I agree.
Not a fan. I agree. This goes right here, no question, right?
Yeah. Above, yeah. You might have to bring Ed. Yeah, that
way. Okay, there we go. Yeah,
that's fair. He's too strong. His damage output's too high because he doesn't have to. A lot of his combo routes don't involve drive rushing. It's like he's spending less meter and doing more damage and gaining his meter back faster. And then the bomb is just. It would be different if the bomb was such that once the bomb is on you, if he throws you, it blows up. But if he throws you immediately, you wake up with the bomb still on you. You got to guess again. So he gets 2 free throws if you let him.
100%. Character strong. Very, very strong. Okay.
Chun-Li. Time to talk about your character.
Let's go, Akira. All right, so I think this character is great, but usually falls in the hands of absolute bums.
Yeah. The players who pick Chun-Li just don't know what they're doing.
except for Jenny, she has a great handle on that character.
That's true, and I think that's because she started out with Manon and then switched to Chun-Li, and so she actually knows how to play the game.
I think Chun-Li's in a great spot in this game. I don't think she is the absolute best. She's not the worst. She's got a very strong, simple game plan. Set up that fireball, work her way in. Once she gets those hits, she can steamroll you. Was that heavy punch button?
Oh, yeah, Stand Fierce. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's good.
It's really good. It's too good. He's laughing.
Yeah, the only thing about Chun-Li that I can say is just like a raw negative is her DP input. Because she has to go down to DP, she has to stand up. And so that's something that's true with charge characters now that they have the new SOCD. So like Guile has to stand up for at least a frame to get a flash kick. But Shotos that have the regular DP input don't have to stand up at all, not even for a frame to do a DP. So I feel like Chun-Li's kind of the worst of both worlds, where she doesn't have the easy charge input. So she has to do a manual input, but she also has to stand up for a frame. And that's like the only thing about her that, like, if they just gave her the regular DP input, she would be so much better than she is already.
Because even the trajectory of her DP now is so much better than it was in 5. She was low to the ground, helicoptering, spinning bird kick. Now she actually has a diagonal moving special move. But yeah, if the input's really not helping her out in any way, I could see that kind of being an issue.
Yeah, and I think it's 2 things. It's the fact that you have to stand up to do it. Means if your opponent's jumping in and you're trying to anti-air them, you might just stand up right into it. But also, it's just an awkward input. I think most Street Fighter characters don't have down in their muscle memory. So Chun-Li mains are forced to learn to do that.
I think down is more like a little bit Darkstalkers, Vampire Savior. They had some down moves in there and stuff, and it's such a simple input, but it's just odd. And I feel like I would like to know exactly if Milk has any types of tricks with that, because I feel like that would be obviously so much easier on leverless with the SOCD.
Oh yeah, that's true, because you could hold down, tap up, and then kick.
Yeah, exactly. So
you just have to delay. Like if you're holding down, you have to like tap up, release up, wait a few frames, and then kick.
Yeah.
That way you get down.
So I think that would be like the easiest way to play her. Milk is a pad player, so I don't know what he does across that, but he's saying Chun-Li is great. I would put her high A for sure. Now, how do you feel about that?
So I agree that she's somewhere on the A tier. I don't think she's as good as the S tier characters, and honestly, that down input is one of the things that hurts her badly enough that I can't consider her for S tier.
Hmm.
She's definitely stronger than these B tier characters. She's not a bum like Lily.
Yeah, I agree. But then at this, after saying that, I looking at these characters like who does Chun Li outright beat that's here, or who would normally I feel like win in other matchups? Where does Chun Li go on this list then?
I think I'm leaning towards putting her next to Aki, where I think both of these characters are like they're great if you main them, but you're also working harder than some of these other characters. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Same thing. Like if Chun Li was really good or Chun Li was really bad, you have almost the same number of Chun Li players. And I feel like the same thing's true with Aki. Like if you love this
Hmm.
character, you're gonna play this character regardless of their strengths. And with Street Fighter 6 being as balanced as it is, I feel like a lot of characters that meet those criteria are A tier.
And you know what? Now, while listening to you say that, I'm also realizing that Chun Li is just super solid and has no gimmicks. She's not playing the gimmick game at all, really, right?
Well, she has some stuff,
Like
but
air legs, maybe, right? But
yeah, but in general, or like instant overhead. But in general, I agree with you. She's playing solid neutral. She's playing a
hmm
game plan similar to Guile's game plan,
hmm
where her zoning is not as good as Guile's. Her rush down is a little bit better, so she's close to that.
all right, I could see that. I think I could see that right there. Like close with her, right? Like
Yeah, I would definitely put her above Aki, and I'm debating whether she's above Kimberly. So I feel like it kind of doesn't matter at this point. I feel like Kimberly Chun Li is kind of like this. Kimberly Chun Li and Aki are all kind of close in skill. Similar, I was saying like DJ Guile and Jury is all the same thing. I feel like
hmm
Kimberly Chun Li and Aki are all the same thing.
Mm. Yeah, I could see that. She wants to rush you down, strike throw. She can do both. She's playing like really really solid, kind of keep away, and then she can do I think maybe a little bit both better.
Yeah.
And so does that change where you want to keep these two guys then?
I'm still unsure. I mean, it could just be true that there's a lot of A tier characters in this game,
Yeah.
but I think we have to place a few more and
Okay.
maybe just wait till the end and then
Yeah.
kind of see like, does it make sense to have 10 characters in A tier?
Because like this looks oversaturated, but I don't feel like moving him to B does anything, right? I think it.
Right. It could just be true that there's 10 characters in
Yeah.
A tier because Street Fighter 6 is balanced well enough.
hmm
And I think generally speaking, the more A tier characters, the better for balance, right?
Uh
You
huh.
don't want too many S tiers and you want to keep as many characters out of B and C as possible.
Because A is just saying I am super super strong and viable, and there's no way you could consider me overpowered or too weak, right?
Right. A tier is the sweet spot.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So we got your boy Ken. We're gonna add to the Shoto list here. Um,
So there's a theme with all these Shoto characters. They're all in the
yes.
same tier. How do you feel about this?
No, I agree. I think so with the big change that hit season 2, I didn't know how to play Ken like that. And there just wasn't a lot of information as to what we should be doing to maximize our meter. I've been working a lot on that, of course, recently. But the character is strong. I don't know what the character is doing wrong. He's doing so much more right. He's got an overhead. It's tied to run stops, not like to drive rush with everyone else. So that I think that's like a lateral move. Um, he can do great damage when you do the right combo pass. Great mix, corner carry.
I feel like Ken, quite literally, is the Street Fighter 6 character.
Yeah.
Like he has all the tools. He's doing all the things. Like he's doing crouch medium kick into drive rush. He's doing combo. I feel like if the devs spent the most time on one character and was like, this is the poster child for not quite literally because Luke's on the
Yeah,
poster.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
if this is kind of like how we want the game to be played, Ken is it. Ken's the template.
hmm hmm
He has everything.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say S for sure, and
S for sure.
I don't know where on S exactly. In the middle, it kind of doesn't even really matter, right?
So I would put him in the middle. I think that Ken and Akuma are both extremely strong, and the reason I would put Ken higher is just because Akuma is inconsistent with the low health.
hmm
That if you throw one bad fireball and they guess jump, Akuma's dead. Where Ken can do the same bad fireball and live.
And then, so would you do this then also?
I would not.
No.
Because like I was saying earlier, I like there's no question in my mind that Bison, Ed, Ken, and Akuma are S tier, and I'm torn whether Luke is bottom of S or top of A. So Philip D asked, does the corner throw loop affect Chun-Li's placement? And I would say yes, it does. I think that if Chun-Li had a throw loop that didn't require drive rush, and if she didn't have that down input, that it would be hard to convince me not to put her in S tier. So I think not having the throw loop and then the down input are two good reasons why she's not on the same level as the S tier characters.
There you go. I hope that helps, Phil. I appreciate your comment, and let us know anything else with you're thinking of this tier list. We appreciate you all hanging out with us. Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the social things there. Anything else you want to say about that? I think that all is accurate, right?
Yes. Yeah, and it's hard to say too much about Ken because like he's clearly good. Like
he's
like,
clearly good, and he's clearly been good.
Yeah, he's been good. I think he's relatively stronger than he was in season 1. Like not by a lot. I thought he was going to get nerfed, and he's essentially the same.
Yeah. I kind of thought he would get hit with the nerf, kind of like what they did to Luke. I thought we would get hit that way, but
agreed. Yeah, I thought both those characters were extremely strong in season 1, and the way they normalized Luke, I'm totally fine with. I think it's a good change because he was way too strong before, and I thought Ken was going to get a similar treatment and did not.
It's his fault though. That's what happens.
It's my fault. Yeah,
exactly. All right, your boy Geef. This is a tough one because Geef normally at the bottom of tier lists, but Japan puts him pretty high. He got some sweet buffs. Mena is learning him for certain matchups because this guy can just kill characters 2-touch style. What do you think?
I also think in this game specifically, because we have modern controls, I think it opens up players to have a pocket modern Geef that they can just bust out when they need it. I think it's pretty obvious that we're not going to place him in B or C. So then really the question is he S or is he A? I personally don't think he's S. And it could be a matchup thing, but like when I use Luke against Geef, I feel like I'm always winning, and every time I lose, I feel like I got robbed.
And it's like it's a silly little thing, right? Because like the Geef players working hard, they're making very hard reads and guesses to try and close in on you with these setups and everything else. Where you can kind of play just a lot more simple, straight up, and
yeah, I can play Street Fighter and win. And Geef is not only working harder the entire time, but he's doing hard reads and taking huge risks just to barely squeak out a win. And the other thing too is like obviously I'm not the highest level player there is, right? Like I'm sure the Japanese players that are talking so highly of Zangief and they're fighting against Itabashi and some other Zangief players, like who's the one? I'm forgetting names now. Started with a K. He did really well. I'm forgetting his name, but there's
not Kakaru.
No. There's 3 Zangiefs I'm thinking of. There's Itabashi. There's it's Kobayan.
Oh yeah.
And then there's another one who was doing really well in 5. I'm sure he's doing well in 6 as well. I just can't think of his name. I might have also started with a K. But either way, all 3 very strong players. And because, in my opinion, the only strong Geef main in America I can think of is Snake Eyes, and he's been less active lately, I feel like we're not seeing this character played at their full potential. And so again, when I'm saying I'm fighting these Geefs and I feel like I'm winning all the time, it's like, well, I'm fighting like 1600 MR Geefs online. It doesn't necessarily mean that's as far as this character can go.
Yeah. Kobayan, he's saying right here.
Yeah, Kobayan, yeah.
Geef broken, Geef amazing buttons, real pressure, real meaties, real plus frames, SPD into guess for game. I think Geef is S tier because zoning isn't strong in Street Fighter 6. So I can agree with that, but the character does have to like really work so much harder to get in. Anything that has armor on it is only 1 hit of armor. And you can whiff punish, standing heavy punch, the running bear grab. I think the character is doing the best a grappler can do right now.
Yes, I think this is the strongest version of Geef we've seen.
And I don't know if I don't know, even for right now, top of B?
I can't put him in B.
You can't put him in B?
No, he's so much better than Lily.
So much better than okay. But what about these characters then? Is he hold on, hypothetical, does he go here then?
I think he's better than Chun-Li. I think he's probably similar to Kimberly, where they're both working pretty hard and making hard reads to finish off rounds.
So he's kind of, if these three are doing something similar and so are these three, is he in a world of his own then, kind of?
I'm fine with leaving him there for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's tough to place him because, like I said, it's
It's
different Geef players are built differently. Like there are Geef players you can jump on them, 25% of the time, and there's Geef players you can never jump
never
on them because
jump
they
in on.
always have that lariat ready.
Yep.
And being 75% on your anti-airs with Geef makes it so much more playable for the other player. Where if you can never jump in on Geef and they're reacting to absolutely everything and the perfect parry all your fireballs, it makes it so much harder. So this is the results of the EWC Esports World Cup,
Yeah, I wanted
which
to
had a
see.
different. It didn't have like a 2 out of 3 double elimination the whole way, right? It was like pools essentially, or
Yeah.
not pools like a standard tournament. It was like top 2 of your group.
Groups,
It was
yeah.
group stages.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit different, and it's also tough because every single player in this is like top,
Top of the world elite, right?
like there's 32 players, and they're the top 32 players there are.
And they had to work to get into here. It's not like they just showed up.
Right. So to go 0-2 and here, it's almost like when you make it to Capcom Cup. It's like once you get there, if you go 0-2, that happens.
Of course, yeah.
No, it doesn't make you a bad player.
But Zangief being in the discussion of your top 32 in the world, right? And this is our biggest, most recent tournament to date to use for reference. And there you have it. Do you see any lilies?
Nope.
No lilies. And then look at all the other names that we're seeing. Ed Manon Tachikawa. I mean, he's in a different. That's a different breed to have the Manon there. So.
Well, the Manon doesn't count. Ed brought him there.
yeah. So I think like when you do that, my fault. I think when you do that, that still seems right? We got 5.
Top 10?
Top 10, potential top 15.
I think putting him top 10 is fair.
Yeah.
I think he's not top 5. I think he is top 10.
Okay.
So anywhere between 6 and 10, you could argue, and I kind of agree with it all.
Okay, cool. There you go.
So he's a strong A tier character. He's not S tier. Yeah,
lame.
Kichipamu. That's the one I was thinking
Okay.
of. That's the third Geef.
This guy's on.
Thank you.
Philip, thanks so much for hanging out with us. I appreciate it. Superpower review. What's going on? Geef is lame.
That's a Geef main talk.
That's
that's a Geef down player.
or that's someone that might, I don't know, play another character that's as basic as it gets. Maybe they'll come up next. Let's see. Nope, sorry, you gotta wait, buddy. Manon. So speak of.
Yeah, so this character in season 1, I feel like even before the game came out, people are talking about how the medal system was so broken, so stupid, that we're gonna see Manon players that don't really know how to play the game, but they guessed right on the rock paper scissors, and they're in top 8 at Evo, and that never happened.
No.
Right? It's this character is not playing Street Fighter 6. She's playing a different game. She's not playing it particularly well, and if she's lucky, she can essentially scrub you out, right?
Yeah.
We see some of the strongest players in the world try to use this character and get less than satisfactory results. And I'm basically talking about IDOM, right?
Yeah.
IDOM is, in my mind, hands down top 10 Street Fighter player on the planet. And he can't get it done with this character.
Yeah.
And I believe, even though you could argue that he doesn't love the game or he's not trying his hardest, I just feel like his skill level is so high that if he found a different character that he really gelled with and put in any type of work, he'd be winning majors.
I agree. I think we would see him do Street Fighter 5 level of things, if not greater.
Right. I mean, look what he did with Laura by himself. Nobody was playing Laura but him, and he made that character S tier.
Who else did he play in 5?
Poison.
And Poison. Okay.
Which people agreed Poison was strong, and his Poison was the best Poison, and it was a pocket character for him.
Jeez. So obviously, IDOM, we can speak volumes about his accolades in the FGC, but you can't say the same about Manon. Is she doing better than Lily? And if so, by how much? Is she going right to B tier?
It's tough, right? So similar to Jamie, it depends on how many medals she can get. If she gets 5 medals, then she's top of B. And if she doesn't get hardly any medals, I would say she's C.
If she gets the 5 medals, she has the potential.
Yes, she can guess.
But like she's still not like she got 5 medals. I might as well put my controller down and walk away.
No, yeah, it's almost like in Street Fighter 4 when you had Ultra. It's like it's really powerful, but you still have to get the hit. Where that's how I feel with her medal system. and it's nice that she can gain medals both with hit combos and with command grabs. But then when she's doing like when she has the medals, it's really the command grabs in the level 3 that's scary.
Mhm.
Her combos aren't super scary. So I'm torn. Um, I kind of want to put her top of C.
Top of C.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So when looking at, yeah, I guess I could see that, right?
And it's tough. They're kind of all not great.
Yeah, I could see that honestly. That's because there's a blurry line here after a while, right? Like, look at how we only got 6 characters here at the bottom.
Yeah, and it's tough too because like I think Lily and Jamie are not so bad, and then like Marisa and Down are pretty bad. But Marisa's not. It's
Yes,
tough.
yeah. I almost kind of like because I feel like, cause,
Yeah, you could argue for it.
yeah, because of her damage output compared to the rest of them. She's working almost as hard. She doesn't have a system to go over to get her to do things. And when she hits like a truck. She's got the armor. I do
Yeah,
think
that's the one thing not Manon, Marisa has is the armor when she's in burnout. But again, it's not a game changer.
All right, 3 left here.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about if we have to move things around. Rashid. One of Capcom's favorites, apparently.
Foolery. If you're in the chat, you can tell us what you think of Rashid. I think Rashid does have some shortcomings, but they are so small.
Yeah, so
and everything else
minuscule.
that he's doing is so grand and so amazing that he gets in for free. Sweet level 2 combo conversions, double jumps, shifty stuff.
Crouch Moon Kick, drive rush overhead.
Yeah.
Little mix up is one of his moves.
Yeah. Rashid top 2 don't play.
You might be right. I think that when we're talking about characters, a lot of times it's easy to latch or compare them to another character and say they're just like this, and here's how they're different. So I would compare Rashid with Ed and say they both have that wild level 2. They both are extremely powerful characters, and I think Rashid is probably a hair better than Ed.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why I think that is. I think Ed can't play like crazy. Ed has to play a little more
solid,
and reserved. You can go crazy with this character and just be like, I can't believe this guy jumped in on me 6 times in a row or did everything else. I think his wild style really helps him play, and his pressure and momentum could match and probably just be right under your boy Bison.
Not only does this character say mix up before he mixes you up, he also says, let's go crazy.
Yeah, so I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. And
then the only thing I'm debating is he better than Bison? Is he number 1?
So all right, let's have that talk, because I think Bison for me is definitely number 1 because of the damage output.
But he doesn't have an invincible reversal, and Rashid not only has relatively good damage output, it's not the highest, but similar to characters like Juri, when he finishes a combo that is decent damage, he has a great mix-up potential.
Okay, and then what about how he spends meter compared to M. Bison?
So I think it's similar, where he can do a buttload of damage without drive rushing.
Without doing drive rush cancels?
Yeah.
So, I mean, then it's 1 and 2. It's tied. It's arguable, right? Because there's one little thing he's got, but he don't, but he has this and the other one. So
yeah, I agree. They're both top 2, and if I had full control of the tier list, I'd put him above Bison. But if you want to leave it as is, it doesn't really make a difference.
Call it tied, basically.
Yeah, it's tied.
They're tied for first, but who cares?
Yeah, I think they're tied for first. Ed's right behind.
Yep. Rashid has too much utility. Yeah, he's got a lot going on. Also, Rashid can deplete your drive rush with level 2. Oh, that's actually really true too. He can put you in burnout a little bit easier with that, right?
Right. It's kind of like it does it all.
And then you got M. Bison's big swing and heavy buttons, and that's taking almost an entire chunk of drive meter out on block too. So,
and they happen to be +1.
Yeah.
Because he needs it.
Yep. You get out of here. Back to this. All right, this is a 50-50. Top tier wins.
Cammy. So we just saw Punk win Evo with Cammy.
Yep. And Punk is just an absolutely gnarly player. We've seen all that he could do. I think we really got to see a lot of his Cammy gameplay during the Street Fighter League stuff, because there's so many games he's playing against so many other high level players consistently rather than just a major throughout the weekend. So how strong he played during Street Fighter League is amazing. This character is kind of built for him.
Yeah.
Long pokes, great range, high mobility. If you're a solid player, he can still get one around you because he's got a way to get around fireballs, a way to get around and make you second guess anti-airs. Strike throw game solid. What you got?
Yeah, I think that Cammy, interestingly, earlier I was talking about how certain characters help you, some characters hurt you. Sometimes it depends on your skill level. I feel like Cammy never helps or hurts anyone. She is exactly as strong as you are. So if you are Punk and you are the
Mm.
strongest player in the game, which he is, then she is the strongest character in the game when he plays her.
Mhm.
If you are a silver tier, ranked, and you're struggling, then the character is not helping you and she's not hurting you. She's doing exactly what you tell her to do.
You could be putting yourself in worse situations because you're not knowing how to apply those things because she's so crazy with her movement, right?
Right, and also her special moves are unsafe on block. So at a lower level, she's harder to play, and at a
Mm.
higher level, she's again. I don't think she's boosting anybody. I think she's exactly as strong as your skill level. So I think she's just like a vessel to pilot, and
Mhm.
she can do whatever
Mhm.
you need her to do.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I think um, she's slightly less annoying than Rashid by like a couple like 0.2 ticks, and I think she's far more annoying than anyone past that point in that tier list. Personally,
And I would agree with annoying, but I wouldn't necessarily say as strong. So I think she is somewhere between Luke and Ken. I think she's better than Luke. I don't think she's as good or as versatile as Ken. Because
okay.
the other thing too with Ken, Ken has zero bad matchups, arguably, right? Like his worst matchup is 5-5, and it's Ken.
It's the Spider-Man, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But I think Cammy does have some bad matchups, and so I mean, anywhere in S tier, you could debate it, but I think she's stronger than Luke, probably on par with Akuma, and maybe on par or just below Ken. But either way, probably like Cammy, Ken, Akuma are similar on horizontally on that
Okay.
skill.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of these are just they're so
They're
close.
so tight. Yeah, we could
It's
debate for
of course, of course. I think she's better than Ken. Tell us why. That's Kevin, by the way. The Karate Man. All right, and then yeah, speaking of Karate Man, we got Ryu. Where's
Oh,
Ryu sitting
we got
on
to spin
this?
the wheel one
We
last
gotta
time.
spin the wheel. Hold on.
Does it even go? Yes. That's so funny. What happens when you hide the choice? Does it just go blank? Yes, no, yes, no, it just resets. It's back to binary. Uh,
Best for last. Oh yeah, put Ryu in front of JP.
so there's been a theme on this tier list. There's many Shotos and many characters that we consider to be Shotos, and they've all ended in S tier,
Mm-hmm.
except for Ryu.
Except for Ryu. You think he just falls out a little bit?
The thing about Ryu is he's a fully developed, solid character with high damage output. However, I think he does not possess the tools as a character to help him get those hits. I think it's the player's job to get the hit that results in the high damage. And for that reason, I can't put him in S tier along this side, like along with like Ken and Luke, because those characters who do slightly less damage have an easier time getting their hits.
Getting to start their damage compared to him. And I will say that when I play Ryu, I feel like a strong brick wall.
Yes.
And I don't feel like when I'm playing Ken, I feel like I'm in a Ferrari. I'm just want to go fast. So I think that, but I do think Ryu is very very strong because he is Street Fighter the game in one character. This is the most tools he's ever had equipped to him, and his damage.
It's the highest of the Shotos
It's
as
the
far as like individual combos. It's
uh-huh.
wild.
It really is.
I think just the fact that he can heavy DP, which is one hit, into his level 3, and then in the corner he can do like donkey kick into heavy DP into level 3. It's just so much damage. It's like,
and they're simple combos to do.
Yeah, they're not super complicated.
Even like the back heavy punch for the extra damage. It's a little short guy, and there's like a little more recovery at the end to get the next special move in. But yeah, he's very very strong. I don't think he belongs in S.
I agree.
I think he's on the cusp, but not as close as these two are.
I
But
agree
I
with
think
that.
like he sits in there. He's either here or here.
Yeah, I think putting him next to Zangief makes a lot of sense because, like, in the right hands, he's super scary. But don't get me wrong, you're working harder than the
You,
S tier
yeah,
characters.
yeah, a little harder than the
Go.
rest there. Yeah, I think that's pretty solid. So now that we've placed everyone here,
Yeah, I feel like just looking at the list, S and A look a little oversaturated. And so what I would like to do is take the three in C, drop them to D, and take the three in B and drop them to C, and then spread out the S's and the A's. Because I don't think that there's this many S and A tier characters really. I think we have to make some tough, like, so obviously the top of S is going to stay in S, and the top of A will stay in A. So it's really like who bleeds down, right? And so I think it's a pretty easy choice that JP goes down to B. Do you agree? So we're basically picking a line and chopping it, right, and bringing it down. So it's like where do we draw that line?
yeah.
Or do we
Ooh.
start with S and say who's not S tier?
So who's not S is also the thinnest line.
I agree. I think the only character that we can argue that might not be S is Luke,
Is
and it's very debate. It's very close.
He is the connector between S and A. I still think that this character. So, all right, what's blatant about all this is I think that the characters are strong and in the right hands are feeling really good, right? And I think that, like, there's just a hard line here. These characters are working way harder. So if we do this is hypothetical, right?
Yep.
He's the captain of B. Does this follow suit also?
I agree. I would just flip the order so that like they're in the same order they were when they were in A. Yeah, like that.
This is solid middle of the road. That's exactly what B is saying. I am as you know. I have both good and bad.
Yeah, I'm mid tier.
What is bad about JP that keeps him here? Is it just the nerfs, or is it because I think that actually is all there is. I think he's still a great pain in the ass character.
I think he's a pain in the ass, but I think he gets away with a lot with knowledge checks. And so I think at a high level, when you understand all of his setups, it's easier to like perfect parry certain things.
Okay.
I also think the nerf to his crouching heavy punch was huge. And the fact that he doesn't really have an invincible reversal besides the amnesia. And if you pressure JP players in general, they will crack and go for the amnesia. And so if you bait an amnesia, he basically dies. And so that being said, yes, you're gambling on offense when you're rushing him down and putting him in the corner, but you're putting him in such a bad spot. It's like between the throw loops and the just strike throw mix ups, you make him feel like he needs to wake up OD amnesia and then he dies.
Okay. I think all of B as it sits currently, I almost can't even mess with an actual order. I kind of feel like they each have their own gimmick. It is strong for them, slightly different than the next ones.
Right. And I also feel like if you're using these characters and you're a stronger player than your opponent, you're going to have no problem shutting them down and just straight up beating them and outplaying them. It's when you're fighting someone who's on your level or slightly above your level. I feel like if you're using these three characters, you're either gimmicking or working way harder than the S and the A tier characters to get that win. Where the C and the D characters are actively hurting you by choosing these C and D tier characters. You are almost in every matchup all the time working harder than your opponent. And so if and when you win, it's either because you went for a gimmick, you got lucky, or you worked so much harder than your opponent worked. Like if you're playing Jamie and you beat a Ken player, you worked hard for that win.
So then I guess my next thing that I'm contemplating is I for whatever reason A tier made more sense to me when they were all there, and now that we've separated, I kind of feel like
Kimberly and Chun Li.
I'm almost want to pull these two down.
That's what I was about to say. I think no, I think they're the top of B. I think they're extremely strong, but I think that having Zangief at the bottom of A, I think makes a lot of sense.
him being the worst of the strong characters because his damage output and he's like,
And he has bad matchups.
And then do we move your boy here then?
I think so, and I also want to say that cautiously because I don't want to seem like I'm biased. I'm like, oh, make sure my character is not S tier so that I can.
Yeah, it's like dependent.
But if I'm being, I mean, I really do believe he's not as strong as Ken and Akuma. Not only I think he specifically loses those matchups, but even if you just look at all the matchups that they play, I feel like Luke is closer to like a DJ or a Guile than he is to a Ken or an Akuma or even a Cammy. And it's tough because he's kind of the line between S and A.
Yeah. It's like basically pick your poison. You either depending on how you feel about Luke at home, you either say he's the top of A, he's the best character there, or he's the worst guy in S. Either way, he's in a really really strong spot. I agree with basically all of this here. This also makes sense. This seems odd, but
It's not wrong though.
but it's not wrong though.
Yeah, because I can't put Ryu and Zangief any lower than this. And if I put them any higher, like I can't say Ryu's better than Guile. I don't think he is. I think he's close to Guile. It's similar. Like I think Luke is stronger than Guile and DJ.
Yeah, I don't know why this bothers me the most, or just because this is like the big fat gray area.
Yeah, I mean,
What do you guys think at home? Is this complete? Is there tiny little movements here?
I'm also
What
wondering,
you think?
do Ryu and Chun-Li switch places? Because I'm also having to remind myself, like, I don't fight.
There is a distinctive difference between these four and the rest of the people that were sat next to them.
But what about Chun-Li, though? I think Chun-Li could go to the bottom of A. The other thing, too, is in the right hands, Chun-Li can be really, really scary.
But that kind of says everything about all these middle characters here. Like,
no, I'm really having a tough time with now. I think Geef goes back up to A and Ryu stays in B.
why?
He's like, I think Ryu is relatively worse because there's so many other good Shotos. You know, it's tough, but like I don't
But
like
they're both shitting out damage and like.
But I don't like Geef is so good right now. He's buffed so hard. I don't think I can put him in B. B is mid tier. I think if someone said Ryu's mid tier, I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. But if someone says Geef is mid tier, I'm like, yeah, he's a little bit better than mid tier.
All right, so when you say it like that, and I think that's how it has to be put in order to make sense. When you say Ryu's mid tier, then I would say, yeah,
he's the worst Shoto in the game.
He's either mid tier or he's at the bottom of A. Like he is doing the same thing Luke's doing between these.
Yes.
Luke is the connector between the broken and the top, and he is the mediator between the top and the mid.
Right, and I think similar to Luke, I think he has to come down to the top. He's the king of B.
He's the king of B.
He's the king of mid.
He's the king of
He's
mid.
the most mid.
I gotta see. Hold on. Don't you dare dislike, unsubscribe, reported, and blocked. Aki and JP's placement is bothering me, but I don't know where to place them. Yeah, talk to us about it. Let us know. Don't envy you guys right now. Well,
yeah,
thank you.
So with JP and Aki, I look at the characters in C and in D, and I'm like, they're clearly better than the rest of these. And then I look at the characters in A, and I'm like, these characters are not only stronger, but more solid than these. So I feel like B tier is kind of like you end up in B, not by choice, but because you just don't belong anywhere else. It's like the land of misfit toys.
But okay, but what about like, all right, if when I look at B tier here, I think annoying, not annoying, like completely straight up.
Yeah, he's playing a different thing, but I think his power level is similar. Like if you look at the characters in A tier, like I think Luke is better than Ryu, I think DJ is better than Ryu, I think Gao's better than Ryu, I think Juri's better than Ryu, I think Chun-Li is better than Ryu. It's like he's not on that level. He can do stuff, but again, like with so many strong Shotos.
All right, so hold on a second. And this is just this is just nitpicking here. What if
It's all the same to
yeah,
me.
it is okay. All right.
Because I'm also thinking like, does Blanca belong in A? But I think he requires correct guesses and like funky setups. And again, at the highest level, like I'm sure Mena got away with a lot of stuff in season one, and then people learned the match. Like, oh, like when he does this setup with the Blanca Chan, you can just hold up or whatever the answer
Mm.
is. So I think at the highest level, it's less consistent.
Uh, do you remember where we placed him the last time we did this?
I think it
S or
was.
A?
I think it was like bottom of A, top of A rather.
Yeah.
I think we were stuck with Blanca, like where we have Luke now. Like, is he bottom of S? Is he top of A? It depends if he guesses right. It depends if they fall for the setup.
This is so
Th-
tough.
and this is a good problem to have. This game is extremely balanced. The only characters that I feel like if they nerf them tomorrow, I would be like, oh, thank God, is literally the characters in S tier. The characters that we placed in S. I think if they nerfed any of the characters in A, I'd be like, why? They were fine.
Why? And honestly, I think even to a point, I think even like if these two didn't get nerfed, I would understand that. And same with her because she's kind of favored, you know. Like, and I don't think they're gonna touch him yet because I think he's underrepresented. But I feel like these characters we're not gonna see like significant buffs coming anytime soon.
No, yeah.
Same.
Yeah, the way I see it is like the characters in A tier, leave them alone. The characters in S, give them small nerfs. Characters in B, either leave them alone or give them small buffs. And then C and D need help.
Need help, yeah. Because and then you feel more comfortable. Like there's that big of a difference between these three and this three that they go at the bottom, or is this just the bottom six of the game, like in a C tier?
Yeah. Yeah, you could argue that the six of those could all be C tier, and there essentially is no D tier. So let's do that for a second. See
how that looks.
Yeah, because I think it's interesting how balanced this game is. There's literally blocks of characters.
Delete row. Maybe that looks a little bit better.
It looks pretty good, actually.
Does that seem better to you guys?
Because the other thing too is like bottom of C, top of D is so nitpicky. It's just they're the bottom. Like those three characters are bottom three, unfortunately, and it doesn't really matter which line on the tier list they go.
Kevin said he wanted to donate to Super Chat if this was done. So go ahead, buddy. Get it in there.
But then we get to say that every time you win, it's because your character's too strong. It's not because of your skill and that you're working extra hard, which you are, by the way.
He is. Yes, he is.
If you picked any other Shoto, you'd have an easier time, unfortunately.
But it doesn't like resonate with him. And I think that's another thing that, you know, obviously a tier list can't accommodate for is if you're not good at playing these characters, it doesn't matter if they're S tier or not. It just won't bode well in your hands. So
right, and same thing. Like it doesn't matter how strong we think M Bison is. I don't foresee Daigo picking up that character and winning a tournament, even though he might be able to.
Yeah. And I would say that he's still gonna stay in S tier, right? He's gonna go either Ken or Akuma, and there's no need to go anywhere else. And if Mena is playing still, did you see what Mena said about Luke recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, okay, like maybe I was wrong. I saw how no other Prodigy was playing him. Maybe there's things I was overlooking.
Yeah, because I think I think Mena feels about Luke the way I feel, where like you want to believe he's still good. You want to believe that with the tools the character have and your skill as a player, that you can get the job done. And then when it doesn't happen, you have to look inward and be like, is it the character's fault or is it my fault? Am I not good enough to win with an A tier character? Do I need S tier every single time? And it's you know, it's tough.
I think this is pretty solid. Looking at it now, I don't know why that one line made such a difference because it just puts everything a little bit closer, and then you get to kind of realize how the lines blur between here and here and vice versa. Of course, we could nitpick all day, and you guys could also do the same. Let us know in the comments down below. What would you have changed or done differently in this tier list? What do you guys believe, belongs in certain spots?
Yeah, and there's certain characters that like I'm really confident we placed them correctly, and there's other characters like I could be convinced, like Blanca, I could be convinced he's A tier.
Yeah.
It's just it's tough. There's so many strong characters, and I personally, and I think you agree, I value consistency over explosive like first to two. right? Because Akuma is the best in first to two, and when it's a long tournament, he's still really good, just not as good. And then same thing with Blanca. In a first to two, he's S tier, and in a tournament setting, he's much weaker than that.
And we're not seeing those results from that character any
Right.
longer.
It's like we're not only seeing the results, but we're also not seeing the the representation from lots of players. So if only a handful of players believe in the character, you have to assume it's for a good reason.
And I think like all of B sits within the same spot of the tier list. You could argue the order of this, I think, till you passed out, and it really wouldn't matter. They're all in there. C was debatable also, but I think like there's a little bit of a divide in the other two higher tiers that, you know, if you really made this longer, you could have just a few characters here. Like the tier list that you sent me. Maybe I can pull it up. Do you want me to talk about that for reference?
Yeah, sure. So we're gonna bring it up here. There was a tier list I saw. I sent it over to you, and it was interesting because there was like 3 different S tiers, and they really broke things down. So there was like only a few. Oh, this is different. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, this is the one. Yeah. So let's open it and switch over the camera. So there's 3 different S tiers, which is really, in my opinion, stupid, right? In my mind, the S plus that they have in pink is S, the red S is A, and the yellow S minus is essentially B. And I don't necessarily agree with all these placements, but they're relatively correct.
I was gonna say some of these are really close,
right? Right, like the ones towards the top belong at the top, the ones towards the bottom belong at the bottom, and the middle is really tough to judge. And I agree with you. If we put it side by side with ours, I think we have the same 6 and S tier that they have an S plus.
We do. This is also there. I think the only difference is that we have Ryu and Kimberly here in the middle, and then the rest we. Ready, bang.
Can we do them? Can we put them up side by side? Will that work?
And then where is this one here?
You know what? It might not work because it's only showing the windows. It's not showing the whole screen.
Oh, okay.
I think we'd have to like screenshot them, but either way, they're extremely similar.
I'm sorry, I'm doing this while it's open too, so it's probably freaking out.
Yeah,
it looks silly.
So if you click on ours and then drag that one back in. There we go. Yeah, so we essentially came to the same conclusion. We have the same 6 on top, the same 6 on bottom, pretty much.
Where did they put Luke? They have Luke 1 lower, right?
Which is wild.
Luke made it into our secondary one.
Yeah.
And we had him at the top where they...
Yeah, they have Luke like lower than DJ and Guile, and I don't agree with that at all. I think Luke is stronger than DJ and Guile, but again, that's my opinion. I could be wrong. You know, the other thing too is sometimes with character representation, like even in season 1 when Luke was very strong, there wasn't that many Luke players. It was just every Luke player that you saw was doing well.
Yeah.
So like even at our locals, I was the only Luke player there was. Like I'm the only Luke player that I can think of in New England, really.
The only other person I saw play Luke at Button Club was Forward when you were teaching him Luke. No one else has touched that character.
Yeah, and so that might be a reason for someone to give him a lower placing because they don't see Luke's very often. They might see Luke in ranked. They might win more than they lose, and so they don't think the character's crazy. Who knows?
Ryu is the middle of A. That's being unbiased.
No.
Middle of A.
Ryu is not as good as Guile.
And I think Jury is stronger also, but like.
Yeah, Ryu didn't win $1 million tournament.
yeah. But I think like Chun-Li, Geef, and Ryu, I think
They're close.
That's a good middle spot to have. But I just think like.
I think Geef is so buff right now that he needs to be like the gatekeeper of A, and it's tough to put Ryu side by side. But I agree they're similar in skill.
Pretty close. All right, let's wrap this episode up. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and being so active in the chat and helping us out with tonight's episode. We really do appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We are beyond 2,300 subscribers.
That's so crazy.
I remember constantly climbing.
I can't remember what number we were at the start, but it was like under 2,000.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember it was a huge day when we hit 2,000, and then from then on, like every 100 we get, it's like already we just hit
Mm-hmm.
2,000.
Yep. 23, 30 something, I think. So subscribe for more. Check out some of our other content. We do weekly tournaments, other Safe Sets podcasts, reviews, and other things with the channel, live streams. Share with some of your friends. Comment down below what you thought of this video and some of our other ones. We will catch you guys on the next episode of the Safe Sets podcast. But until then, keep pressing them buttons and
Stay safe.
have a good night, guys. Thank you.